How much did you save last month? If the answer, or even the question, made you feel a little uncomfortable, don't worry, you're not alone. The good news, wizards, is that we're about to show you 7 methods to save money. Simple steps that, when done consistently and with discipline, will change your life. 1. Taking small steps, starting to save gradually. Small amounts have power. If you're not yet in a position to save a large percentage of your income, there's no harm in starting by saving small amounts. Imagine for a moment that you decide to cut out that extra drink at lunch outside, or perhaps that special coffee every day before work. Seems insignificant, right? But when added up, these small amounts can make a significant difference at the end of a month, and even more so at the end of a year. It's the magic of accumulation, where each small saving contributes to a larger amount. Now, let's talk about applying these savings in small amounts smartly. One of the most effective methods is to direct them into an investment account. Why not make saving an automatic routine? Setting up an automatic transfer of small amounts into an investment account can lead to significant changes. The key to making saving in small amounts effective is consistency. It's not just about doing it once and forgetting, but rather incorporating this practice into your daily life. Whether it's regularly reviewing your expenses to identify where you can cut back or adjusting your consumption habits, every little action counts. And don't forget to celebrate your victories, no matter how small they may seem. Starting with small amounts can begin in simple and practical ways, accessible to everyone. For example, if you usually spend $10 every day on a snack while out, how about replacing that expense with bringing a homemade snack? This simple change can save about $200 per month. In a year, that adds up to an impressive $2,400. Or review small recurring expenses, such as streaming plans or service subscriptions that you rarely use. Canceling a $30 per month subscription might seem insignificant in the short term, but over a year, it represents a saving of $360. The sum of these amounts, when invested, can easily surpass $3,000 per year. 2. Pay yourself first. If you're leaving saving for what's left of your salary, you're putting yourself last. Instead, aim to pay yourself first, meaning decide on an amount or percentage of your monthly income that will be allocated to savings or investment before any other expenses. This might seem counterintuitive at first, especially if we're accustomed to dealing with many financial obligations. However, this approach ensures that you're always investing in your financial future before anything else. But how do you start? First, determine a realistic percentage of your salary that you can commit to saving or investing. Ideally, starting with around 15 to 20% of your salary would be best, but don't worry if that seems far beyond your reality. Try starting with less, 10%, 7%, or even 5% of your earnings. The important thing is to start. The trick here is to treat this amount as a fixed expense, as important as rent or the electricity bill. Setting up an automatic transfer to a separate investment account can facilitate this process, ensuring that the money is saved before you have the chance to spend it. To make it even clearer, imagine the formula for how people typically save. Income less expenses equals savings. Do you agree that thinking in this way suggests that savings are secondary? Something that will only happen after paying all other individuals and entities first? This way of thinking puts saving as a remote possibility, often resulting in little or no money saved. The reality is that, following this logic, there's rarely anything significant left to save because expenses tend to expand to consume available income. But now let's change our perspective and see the equation as follows. Income less savings equals expenses. By doing this, savings are no longer what may or may not be left at the end of the month. They become the priority. This simple rearrangement of terms puts saving and investing at the forefront of your financial planning, ensuring that a portion of your income is always earmarked for the growth of your wealth. What you're doing here is paying yourself first, rather than prioritizing others. 3. Set a savings goal. Now that you've learned to pay yourself first, what will you do with the money you're saving? Or rather, what are you saving for? For this, it's necessary to establish your financial goals, the reasons why you're saving and investing. Imagine you have the goal of purchasing a new computer, costing $900. The first step is to set a time frame for this purchase. Let's assume the time frame is 1 year. This means saving $75 per month. By setting this monthly goal, it's necessary to identify where you can reduce expenses, or even better, how to increase your income. Perhaps this requires cutting out 1 or 2 meals outside per week. Initially, this may cause discomfort, but to overcome this, it's important to always remember the motivation behind why you're saving, in this case, the new computer. This planning not only facilitates the acquisition of the desired computer, but also promotes a transformation in how you interact with your finances. At the end of the set time frame, achieving the goal becomes real. Then you understand the power of setting clear goals and an action plan to achieve them, making it possible to reach any objective, both in the short and long term. Moreover, having a goal also has a psychological motivating factor that encourages you to maintain financial discipline. When you know exactly what you're saving for, every unnecessary expense becomes more evident. The temptation to spend on non-essential items decreases when you have clarity that such spending could delay the realization of an important dream. This context makes it easier to resist impulse purchases and stay focused on what truly matters because there's a clear and desired reward on the horizon. 4. Plan purchases in advance. One of the most effective ways to save money on something you truly need to acquire is to plan purchases in advance. Suppose you want to give your spouse a special wedding anniversary gift, such as a trip. Instead of waiting until the last minute to book flights and accommodations, you can start planning months in advance, since you already know the wedding anniversary date and where your partner would like to travel. Studies show that booking a trip in advance can result in savings of up to 25% on flights and accommodations. Additionally, this provides enough time to research and take advantage of special promotions and discounts that companies often offer for early bookings. Similarly, when it comes to significant purchases such as appliances, electronics, or even clothing items for important events, start researching and comparing prices months before the intended purchase. This allows you to identify the best times to buy, such as during seasonal clearances or end-of-year promotions, where discounts can be surprisingly high. Furthermore, this planning allows you to avoid impulse purchases. Moreover, advanced planning promotes research and comparison, crucial for making more informed purchasing decisions. Instead of settling for the first available option, you gain time to evaluate different products, services, and suppliers, which can lead to discovering better options for the same cost or even cheaper ones. 5. Pay high-interest debts first. If you have debts with high interest rates, it's much wiser to pay them off first because they will erode your wealth if not addressed as soon as possible. Consider the impact of credit card debt with an annual interest rate of 20%. By making only the minimum payment, you could end up paying almost twice the original borrowed amount over the years. In contrast, by focusing on paying off this debt first, any additional amount you can pay will reduce the debt much more quickly, decreasing the amount of accumulated interest and, in turn, reducing the total time to pay off the debt. Seemed a bit confusing? Don't worry, let's go through a practical example. Imagine you have a $1,000 credit card debt and the minimum payment is 10%. If you always pay the minimum amount, after 12 months, you will have paid $115.70 in interest and still have a debt of approximately $350 to pay. But if instead, you manage to pay the minimum amount plus $100 per month, after 7 months, you will have paid off the entire debt and paid approximately $43 in interest, a difference of $72. This strategic approach not only frees up more money in your monthly budget, but also generates a positive psychological effect. Seeing the balance of your most expensive debts decrease gives you a motivational boost. This boost is crucial because maintaining focus and determination along the path to financial freedom can be challenging. The feeling of progress, of seeing one debt after another being eliminated, creates a wave of positivity and reinforces healthy financial behavior, establishing a virtuous cycle of continuous financial improvements. With high-interest debts out of the way, you have the opportunity to invest the money that was previously allocated to interest payments. Every dollar not spent on interest is one less obstacle for you to achieve financial freedom. And the next tip will prevent you from falling into this type of debt. 6. Avoid the use of overdrafts and short-term loans. These forms of credit, while they may seem like quick solutions for temporary financial tight spots, often come with exorbitant interest rates that can worsen your financial situation instead of improving it. Overdrafts, for example, can be convenient, but the cost of this convenience is high. Banks and financial institutions typically charge significant fees for each use of overdraft. Similarly, short-term loans or cash advances, while they may offer quick access to funds, come with interest rates that are often much higher than other forms of credit. These additional costs can quickly accumulate, turning a small debt into a significant financial burden. When an unexpected expense arises, such as a health emergency, and the only option seems to be resorting to overdrafts, it's crucial to explore alternatives to minimize the financial impact. This could involve lines of credit with lower interest rates. While this may seem counterintuitive initially, the idea here is not to encourage obtaining new loans, but rather to replace a high-cost debt with one with more favorable terms. Exploring options such as personal loans with lower interest rates or specific healthcare lines of credit, which financial institutions sometimes offer, can provide a temporary solution to pay off the debt. These alternatives tend to have significantly lower costs compared to the exorbitant fees of overdrafts. The goal is to eliminate the more expensive debt as quickly as possible, preventing interest from accumulating and creating a snowball effect. It's important, however, to view this strategy as a last resort. The ideal and crucial solution for these situations is to create an emergency fund. This fund, ideally with enough value to cover 6 to 12 months of expenses, offers security that allows you to face unforeseen circumstances without resorting to overdrafts or short-term loans. Starting small, saving a portion of your regular income regularly in a separate account can lead to the construction of a substantial fund over time. 7. Test and choose which saving method works best for you. It's important to always consider that each person has their own circumstances. Often, the method I use to save may not be ideal for you, which is why it's extremely important for you to test and choose which methodology best applies to your reality. In other words, it doesn't matter how you do it, the important thing is to do it. There are various ways to save, from the simplest, such as the envelope strategy, where you allocate fixed amounts of money for different categories of expenses in physical envelopes. For some, this approach is incredibly effective as it offers a clear visual representation of how much money is still available for each category. For others, however, digital methods, such as budgeting apps that automatically track and categorize your expenses, may be more practical and better suited to the modern lifestyle. It's completely normal to start your savings journey with a method that seems to be the ideal solution, and as your finances and understanding of the financial world evolve, a more robust approach may be necessary. For example, someone who started saving money using the envelope method may find that this approach becomes limited as their income increases, or even by the number of goals they have. At this point, switching to a digital tool that offers some analysis and the ability to track investments may be the next natural step. This evolution reflects a maturity in how you interact with your finances. Wizards. Talking about finances isn't just about money, it goes far beyond that, encompassing many psychological and behavioral aspects. There's a Chinese proverb that fits very well with what we've learned today. It says, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." If you haven't started taking care of your financial life yet, or if you've been hesitant to learn about it, remember that the time to act is now. No matter where you are on your journey, there's always room for growth and improvement. If you felt that this content has helped you in any way, leave a comment below with topics you'd like to see covered here. Until next time, Wizards.